Okay, well, welcome and thank you for attending this first optional training. I know that it's high school conferences week, so I apologize for the timing of it all, but I wanted to get it out sooner in the semester than uh, than later, and September didn't work out so great. So here we are in October. What this is going to be today is a general overview of Canvas. And so this is going to be very beginner focused. I'm going to show you how to access Canvas and how you can get started working in it so that theoretically by tomorrow, you could try to experiment with it a little bit if you wanted to. So I'm going to start off with sharing my screen here. And just as a heads up, when you originally registered for this particular course here, that was the beginner level trainings, Canvas tricks and treats. I came up with that on my own. I'm very artistically creative, I guess. Um, sorry, I'm adjusting a window right now. There, that's better. Okay, so in this page, you can continue to come back here and access this. I'm going to be placing recordings of each of these trainings along with them as we go. So each of these is going to be recorded. You can refer back here, and this is where you can get access to those recordings. So if you, for example, can't make it to next week's session, you can come in here and view the recording and so on and so forth. And then also you can check previous recordings even if you were there. So to start off with talking a little bit about what Canvas is a learning management system. And what that means is it's kind of like a software tool that allows you to take all of your learning activities, no matter what tool you're using, and combine it into one place so that it's all accessible by your students in one location. And so that's kind of the overall goal of it. You can host an entire course out of here. You can teach completely online. It's powerful enough for that. I know most of you teach in classrooms, but it is a possibility. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how strong this tool is. And the reason the district is going towards Canvas is because there's kind of been a nationwide push for K-12 schools to catch up to higher ed and adopt an LMS product. And the Nebraska Department of Education actually endorses Canvas, and it's kind of a statewide effort to get the K-12 schools on board with Canvas. So that's why we are utilizing it here in our district so that we can be on the same wavelength as all of the K-12 schools, as well as our public schools and public colleges, I mean. So it's pretty interesting. I was a classroom teacher for OPS. For those that don't know me, I was at Nathan Hale Middle School. I taught science. And then I took a few years and I went over to Creighton University, and that's where I learned about Canvas. And so I worked with their education department to host their courses. So that's a little bit about my background and how I learned how to use this. And let's jump right into how to actually access it. So to get to Canvas, there's a couple ways that you can do it. The first way is going to be via Clever. So you can go to Clever. If you go to Clever, it's under like district resources. There should be a Canvas link. You can click there, and then that should log you in. The other option is to just put in this link here. So it's, let me see if I can zoom in on that. Oops, not letting me zoom. Omaha.instructure.com, and I'll just copy and paste this into the chat here. Oops. There we go. So there's that link. So it's that URL, or you can access it via Clever. Now, I always suggest people that are using Canvas from an instructional standpoint that they access Canvas via their computer, whether it's a MacBook or a PC, whichever device you're using. The computer is going to be your best bet for accessing Canvas as a teacher or somebody who's designing trainings in it or whatever. So if you're building a course, your computer is your best spot. The reason for that is the computer will have all of the building tools. If you access it on your phone or your iPad, you're going to get a watered down version in terms of building. As for your students, since most of you have students that are on iPads, they're going to want to actually access Canvas via an app. So there is a Canvas student app The icon looks like the Canvas logo. Let me see if I can find, it's like this little orange circle dealio up there. But and here's an image right here too of it. But the app looks like that. It's Canvas Student. That's how students can access it via the iPad. And it's a full-fledged version of the student version of Canvas. So they go in there, they're not missing any tools or anything. They can go in and they can take your course or access the materials for your course on their iPad via that app. And that's going to be the most stable way that they will access it. So again, that link and also Clever is how you will get in there as a teacher, and then your students will access it via the mobile app. I have had some users tell me that they have their students just go to like the Safari browser and access Canvas there. You can do that as well, but in my experience, it's not as stable as the app. So, but if you prefer that outlook and you want to encourage your students to do that, you can. Just know that if they encounter any issues, maybe try the app as the next step. So that's kind of how that works. So that's access. That's how you get in. And then once you're prompted to log in, it's going to be the same login information that you use for everything. So your e-username at ops.org, or in your student's case, the s-username at ops.org, and then your regular OPS password. It's going to be that same login info. And now that we've kind of talked about getting into Canvas, I'll pause for questions. I do see one popped up in the chat. It says, do students go to Clever to find the Canvas app? No. So students, and I wish I had an iPad to share the screen here, they can download it from their Manager app. So if you've ever had students add an app to their iPads, they can download it from there. Although I do believe most secondary schools have the app automatically pushed out onto their iPads. So if they just do a search through their apps, they should be able to find it. If they don't, they can get it from the Manager where you would download apps. But you can also use Clever. But if you go through Clever, just as a heads up, if you have the students go through Clever, it will open in the web browser version of Canvas and not in the app itself. So any other questions about accessing? Okay. Not sure if that was quite the 30 seconds or not, but we'll keep going along. The next thing we're going to talk about is once you actually get into Canvas, what am I looking at? So when I first log into Canvas, I'm going to end up on an area called the dashboard. And the dashboard is going to contain all of the Canvas courses that you're enrolled in. If you're a classroom teacher and you haven't used Canvas before, most of your courses are going to be located in an unpublished courses area. And that's going to be, it's at the bottom if you have published courses, but if not, it's just that main front page. So this is an unpublished courses area. And then you can see once you've been actively using Canvas, your courses will end up in the published area. The difference between these two spaces is published courses are visible to students. Unpublished courses are not. So kind of think of it like publishing a book. If you want readers to be able to access your book, you got to publish it. So your unpublished courses are down here. You can still work on the course and you can do everything that you need to do to access it and get it ready, but your students are not going to be able to see it until you've published it. The way to publish it or move it from this unpublished area to the published area up here is to simply click the publish button in the top left corner. So if you click that, it just bounces that course shell right up here. I have a lot of people that ask me sometimes, can I unpublish a course once I've published it? And the answer to that is 95% of the time you can't. The reason for that is once your students have accessed your course or have started using it, Canvas doesn't let you unpublish it again. So the way to get around that is I always tell people just don't publish it until you're sure that it's ready. There are ways, and I'll show you this later, there are ways in your course that you can prevent students from seeing content that you're working on, even if the course is published. So just keep that in mind. For classroom teachers, your courses are probably going to have a big, long name in there that matches what's in Infinite Campus, and some people don't like that. So once you've got your courses in either the published or unpublished area, wherever you want it, the next step to kind of like finding your way around here is you can click on these three dots up here in the top right corner, and I'm just going to get rid of this. Apply. You'll see that my full course name is there. Let's say that's a big, long, annoying Infinite Campus course name. What I can do is I can click on these three dots, and then I can give it a nickname. And this nickname will show up on my view, and it makes it easier to tell my courses apart. So I'm just going to put accessibility. Boom. And I can assign a color. If you do color coding, you know, I'll pick blue here. Let's hit apply. And so that changes the color for me, and it changes the name on my view. Now, the downside to this is only for your view. So that nickname isn't going to show up for students. I always tell people that means, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could put like my worst class or something like that. But I probably wouldn't suggest it, because even though your students can't see that nickname, if you're sharing your screen someday and they catch a glimpse of it, it might not be super great. But it kind of gets the idea across that your students can't see the nicknames that you set. So what I usually suggest is, since when you first start using Canvas with your students, you're probably going to want to show them where it's at. Show them how to open the app, how to get to your course, and then kind of show them where their stuff is. Take that 30 seconds when you're showing them that course and where they're going to access their materials, and just have them set a nickname. So just have them click that three dots and put in a nickname, and then they can set their own color based on their color coding if they do that. If they don't, they can just not touch that and leave it the way Canvas set it. So that allows you to set nicknames for your course so that these are easier to spot. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I pause for questions for organizing the dashboard is adding favorites. So you'll notice that I have like 19 courses on here, which is probably still too many. But if I go over to my courses area, which is right underneath my dashboard here, I can see an entire list of my courses. But then if I go to all courses up here at the top, you'll notice that I am enrolled in a lot more than 19 courses. I have an entire massive list of courses here. Why don't they all show up on my dashboard? And the reason for that is because I can set favorites, and these favorites are the only courses that show up on my dashboard. So for example, if you have second semester courses or something of that effect, you don't have to have those show up on your dashboard. You can just leave them in the background until you need them. So if you go to courses and then all courses and you end up on this list, the way to add something to your favorites is just to click the star over here on the side. So if I click the star, it turns orange, and that means that only those orange stars are going to show up on my dashboard. So I'm going to unclick that one because I don't want that one on my dashboard. So by default, everything will show up, but as soon as you star something or add it to your favorites, only the starred courses will show up. So that's how I have mine organized down to 19. I say organized loosely here, but it's 19 courses on there instead of 100 or whatever this is. So that's how I can keep that pared down, but I can still access all my courses even if they're not on my dashboard. So next semester, I can unstar my first semester course and star my second semester course. So it's very easy to adjust.
On a meeting
Fortunately,
right now. Can I get back to you?
Yeah, certainly. There's just a student who's with her iPad.
and I do have somebody
Keep it
that
on,
doesn't have their mic muted. I think they're on the phone. If you could
Thank you.
check that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so at this point we can pause for questions. That's how you can access your stuff. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you scroll all the way down on this all courses list, you can see all of your previous courses as well. So if you build a course, you can access it later. Right now, we don't have an expiration date on those. When we do, it'll probably be like 3 years or something. So now we'll pause for questions on what we've covered so far. Let me look at what I got in the chat here. It says, do I use my OPS network password? Nope, you use your OPS network password. It's the same password you use for everything in OPS. Same login info. If you do try to access Canvas and you're having problems, though, maybe reach out to the help desk. They can reset that password for you and get you in. Any other questions about like finding your courses and organizing them? What is the time frame for Teams leaving and only having Canvas? I don't think Teams is going anywhere. Canvas doesn't take anything away. It just sort of helps you organize it. So like that's how I'm using Teams and bookings in a Canvas course just for this training series. So yeah, I don't believe that Teams is going away. Plus it's part of our subscription to Office 365. So yeah, I'm not a curriculum person, so I can't say for 100% certainty, but it would be a pretty strange move to be like, oh, you just can't use Teams anymore, even though we have it. So I don't see it going anywhere. Plus Canvas doesn't have a meeting tool, so you need Teams for meetings. That's why we're meeting in a Teams meeting that you got to in a Canvas course. So any other questions?
Tyler, I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm taking a long-term sub position for a teacher that's already have these courses built. I have a laptop from home, but would you suggest the tech guys at the school I'm going to be at, Omaha South, to give me one of theirs so easier to access Canvas and that kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. My other question is, do Teams and Canvas talk to each other?
Not directly, but you can post links from Teams into Canvas. So like, for example, when you signed up for this session, you clicked on a bookings link, which isn't Teams, but it's a Microsoft product. I just placed the link onto a Canvas page. And then that way everything opens where it's supposed to. Because otherwise you'd be searching through Teams and then bookings and then going back to Teams to join the meeting and then going to Canvas to find the recordings. So we just keep it all in one place. Any other questions before we move into getting started with your course? Okay. All right. So just kind of moving along the side here, really, I would just ignore the rest of these buttons. You're not going to have this admin button. I always get that question. I do have admin permissions. That's why it shows up for me. You won't have that, so you don't need it. Really, only you need the dashboard in your courses. But the other helpful button is down here. It's this help button. And this just contains some resources for you. So if you want a slowed down version, because this was supposed to be just a quick 30-minute introduction, there is a asynchronous course that you can click on to sign up for, and you can work through it at your own pace, and it's not required, and you can, it walks you through building a course. So there is that Canvas for Beginners course that you can click on and join. And then also the other helpful button here is going to be the support hotline. So there is a Canvas support hotline. You can call that number, or you can click this button to do a chat box. And the state actually pays for 24/7 support for everybody that's using Canvas. So you can call them at 3 a.m. if you want to. And they actually are helpful because they do have access to our Canvas instance, and they can get in and help you do things if you need them to. So if you run into any issues and it's outside of business hours, give that information a shot. And then also you have Canvas guides up here where you can click and search questions. So this help button is probably the other main area. So in the dashboard, the 3 buttons we'll pay attention to for today are the courses, the dashboard, and then help. So once you're in the dashboard, what you're going to have is you are going to click on a course. And what you might notice when you click on one of your courses is that it might be completely empty. There's nothing in there. It's completely blank. This is not blank because I have something copied in here that I'll show you how to get later. But for some of you, your TLC or your curriculum supervisor might have actually added a course for you. And the idea is eventually we're going to be building a course for all the core courses and secondary buildings and pushing it out to teachers so they have a good place to start. That's obviously not done yet. That takes a lot of time. But they got the first wave out this fall. So some teachers do actually have, if you click on your course, you might have content in there from your curriculum supervisor. And if you're wondering if there is content available or when it's going to be coming, you can just reach out to them. But for those of you that are kind of on your own for right now, you're not totally on your own, because I do have a resource for you that you can grab and add to your course that will set up all of your settings. It will set up your course pages. It'll just organize everything for you. So the way I'll do that is by coming over here, and then this is the other button we're going to focus on today. It's called Canvas Commons. And if I click on Commons, what this is like a storefront full of resources that teachers have shared with one another. It's like teachers pay teachers, but with no money. So people can share stuff in here and you can grab it. The state's put up stuff. I've put up stuff. And I'll show you how you can grab that template that will actually help you set up your course. And so that template, what you're going to want to do, I have it set to featured, so it should show up on the main page here. But if it doesn't, you can just search for me by my name. And people always spell my last name wrong. I've thought about doing like a stage name or something, like, I don't know. I'll have to think of something cool, but Shaban, S-C-H-A-B is in boy, E-N, and then you can search me by name and you'll see the resources that I've added. The one you're going to be looking for is the secondary Canvas template for OPS. So if I click on that, the first thing I can do, because you might be using this more than once, is you can hit this star here to add it to your favorites. That way, every time you come to Commons, you just go to favorites and the resource will be there. Then to add it to my course, what I'll do is I'll click the import download button up here. I will find the course or courses that I want to add it to. So let's say I want to add it to these 3 courses. I can then hit import into course. I'm not going to do that because I think that's an actual teacher's courses. But if I hit import into course, a little loading bar is going to pop up and it's going to say that it started to import into your course. And then at that point, you just wait for it to pop up. So sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. It doesn't usually take that long, but you know, eventually it will pop up. And then when you go to your course, you just kind of have to keep refreshing it. Sorry, I was working on that earlier. If I go to my dashboard here, go to this example course. When I refresh the page, eventually I'll end up with something that looks like this. And so what it is it's your main home page. And then it has these buttons set on the side for your students. The main areas to focus on are going to be this home page and then the modules area. Modules is where you host all of your stuff, which I'll kind of be going through during next week's training more. But think of it like drawer in a filing cabinet. So if I come down here, I can see that I've got these chunks of resources. So quizzes, discussions, links, all that stuff, and it's organized by unit. That's what this chunk is. It's a module. And so this is how you can organize content for your students. When I was a science teacher, I had a drawer in my filing cabinet for each unit that I did. I just think of Canvas the same way. It's a virtual filing cabinet, and each drawer is one of these modules. So I can organize it however I want. I've seen some teachers organize it by unit, so students know to go there, and all of their assignments and everything for the unit are located here in this chunk. Or I've seen teachers organize it by week. It really doesn't matter how you do it, just stay consistent. So once you pick one method of organization, don't change it like halfway through the semester, because that could lead to confusion. So, but that's how you can chunk that together. So that's the modules, and we'll talk about how to do that next week. Or I also have a YouTube channel that I'll be sharing a link to before we wrap up that will give you access to some recordings that show how to do this as well. But if I go back to my homepage, the way that I can start setting this up is at the top right-hand corner of every page. It doesn't matter what kind of page you're on in Canvas. In this case, it's a home page. I can hit edit. And then you just got to click and fill it in. So these tools look a lot like Microsoft Word, if you're familiar with it, or if you come from a Google district, Google Docs. It's called an HTML editor bar, or whatever it's called, but HTML tools. And what this does is it just gives you basic editing tools so that you can change your content. So like if I want to click and highlight this text, I can put biology. I can put the name of my course there. I can change these pictures just like I would in a Word document or a PowerPoint by, uploading a new photo. If I really wanted to get fancy, I could change the color. Or some teachers, they just come in here, they add the name. a little introduction, and they call it a day. So it's up to you what level of editing you want to do. When I'm all done, I can hit save. And then what that does is it updates the page for me, and voila, I am done. I can also click on these buttons down here. Same thing. It brings you to a page. You can hit edit. You can delete whatever you want. You can edit whatever you want. You just have to hit that edit button to change things on the page. And so that's probably a good place to start if you're looking into starting to use Canvas, is to just get this template into your course if it's empty, and then just starting to make edits on some of these existing pages. Once you've done that, 95% of the work is done. You just got to start adding your resources. So that is the edit. And then real quick, before I pause for final questions, I did want to share something with you all. So we do have a YouTube channel for the technology trainers. There is a Canvas list in there. So I'll share that in the link, and I'll also put this in the Canvas course that we have that will host these recordings. But go to that YouTube channel, go into the playlist area, and you can find our, where's my Canvas playlist right here. And this breaks down. So here's the assignments, quizzes. This breaks it down by topic. So if you want to see more information about a specific topic and you don't want to wait for the rest of these trainings, you can come in here and you can check out these recordings. So usually I tell people to start here. That this is a longer version, a longer introduction of what we talked about today. So again, today's more of a quick get. You know, I just wanted a quick introduction. I know people are busy, and I hate doing after school trainings for teachers because I know you've all got a lot to do. So I try to keep these short and concise, and then provide you with additional resources that you can use to look in further. But hopefully you got enough today to at least get that template, maybe start editing some of those pages. That's a really huge start, because setting up those settings and creating those pages can take a long time. So definitely utilize that template. Final questions for today.
Where do you find the template again? How do you get to it?
It's this Commons button over here.
Commons. Okay.
Yep, click on Commons and then search for me by name.
Can
And
you,
I'll be thinking,
where is the Commons? I don't see that. Oh, now, okay, got it.
yep, Commons and then search by my name. But again, I said it is featured, so it should just be right here on the front, but I'm not 100% sure if it will be or not. If it's not, search my name. Any other questions? Okay. So with that, we're about at time. Definitely let me know if you ever want to schedule a time to talk about some of your individual questions later. I can also assist you with getting things set up if you need it. Just let me know what you need. It's what I do. It's what I'm here for. And then utilize that YouTube channel. And then if you want to do a quick introduction to assignments and discussion boards, that one's going to be coming up next week. And I'll also be tying in a little bit about, like, how do I add an item to a module and things like that, because that's just a part of creating assignments and discussions. So that one will be next week, or maybe that's the pages one. I can't recall. Dashboard. Come on. Yeah, pages and assignments. Discussions is another one now. So yeah, pages and assignments and getting them added to a module. That's what we'll be doing next Wednesday from 3:30 to 4. But if nobody has any other questions, we're right at time. So, you know, you are free to hop off, and I'll stick around here a little bit if anyone has any other questions they want to ask.